Welcome to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast, your go-to source for all things women's health. I'm here to guide you through the ups and downs of hormonal changes, helping you understand how these shifts impact every aspect of your life. So whether you're in the perimenopause phase or really any other phase of life, looking to improve your overall well-being, or just seeking practical tips on stress management, nutrition, and fitness, then this podcast is for you. Join me as we explore holistic and functional approaches to health, share expert insights from guests, and empower you to feel your best at every stage of life. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen. Hey, welcome back to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer, and today we're going to dive into a topic that's close to my heart: how our emotions impact our physical health. This is something I get asked about a lot, especially by midlife women who are going through perimenopause and experiencing all kinds of changes, both physically and emotionally and even mentally. So in today's episode, we're going to explore the connection between emotions and physical health, answer some of the most common questions you might have, and finish off with a mini tapping session to help you release any emotional blockages that might be holding you back. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get started. Let's start with the basics. How do our emotions actually impact our physical health? It might seem surprising, but our emotions and physical health are deeply interconnected, as is everything else in our body. So think about it. When you're stressed, you might notice your heart racing, your muscles tensing up, or maybe you get a headache even, or that tension in your back or your shoulder. On the other hand, when you're feeling joyful or at peace, your body tends to relax, your digestion improves, and you might even sleep a little better, not to mention the natural just smile on your face. So this connection is even more pronounced during perimenopause because our hormones is in a state of flux. These hormonal shifts can make us more sensitive to our emotions and even our mental well-being. And if we're not careful, those emotions can manifest as physical symptoms. So for instance, anxiety can lead to digestive issues, as we all know, even from childhood. And unresolved anger or frustration might show up as chronic pain or fatigue. And I know I've been dealing with that and trying to root some things up out of myself, if I'm being transparent, including the root of bitterness. So I definitely personally understand that one. But the big takeaway here is that our emotions are not just in our head. They live in our bodies too. And if we want to feel our best physically, we need to take care of our emotional health. And so I know many of you have questions about this topic, and I want to spend a little bit time addressing some of the most common ones that I hear from women. And let's start with the big one, and this is one that gets asked quite often. Why am I suddenly feeling more emotional during perimenopause? You are not alone if you have asked that question. I have asked that question myself. This is such a common one, and the short answer is hormones, but there could be plenty more also. But during perimenopause, levels of estrogen and progesterone fluctuate, which can affect the neurotransmitters in the brain like the serotonin, dopamine, and these neurotransmitters play a big role in regulating our mood. So when your hormone levels are shifting, it is natural to feel emotional. And the key here is to recognize that these emotions are valid and they deserve attention. It's not just in your head, remember, it's in your body too. And to quote the book that I just love so much, the body keeps the score. So our emotions holds a lot of things, including emotion. And the other question is, can emotions really cause physical symptoms? I've been feeling more tired and achy lately, especially in my joints. Is that just a part of getting older? I can also relate to this too, especially the achy joints in the morning. But that is a great question, and the answer is yes. Emotions can absolutely cause physical symptoms, just like thoughts can cause physical symptoms. So stress in particular is a biggie, and it can take a huge toll on the body. And when you're stressed, your body produces more cortisol, which is a hormone that in high levels over time can lead to fatigue, weight gain, and even chronic pain. But it's not just stress. Unresolved emotions like grief, anger, or like bitterness that I was talking about earlier, or even unexpressed joy, anything at all, any kind of emotion can also manifest physically. So while aging does naturally bring some changes, we can't overlook the emotional component of how we're feeling. And the other question is, what can I do to manage my emotions better during this time of perimenopause or any kind of change, really? And this is probably one of the most important questions of all, because managing your emotions does not mean suppressing them. It means acknowledging them, feeling them, and finding healthy ways to process and release them. Some of my favorite strategies include journaling. I love to write, but you can journal any which way you can, or even grab your phone and do like a voice note and just speak into it, like I'm speaking to you now. And that's another way just to get it out if you're not one that likes to write or journal. You could do it that way too. And even talking to a trusted friend or therapy is good for everybody. And physical movement, so like anything like walking, anything to get your blood flowing and circulating is really good to manage that. And later in this episode, I'll introduce you to tapping, which is a really cool thing that I have used years ago. And I just love it, and I like to use it in my practice because it's one of the ways just to get those help wherever our emotions are stuck. It's another way to just release it. And so the other question is, I've heard about emotional eating. Is that something that happens more during perimenopause? Yes, emotional eating can definitely become more of an issue during perimenopause. When our emotions are heightened, we might turn to food for comfort, especially foods that are high in sugar or carbs, which can temporarily boost serotonin levels and just make us feel better. Remember, that's one of our feel-good or happy hormones. And the problem is that this relief is short-lived, and it can lead to a cycle of overeating and even guilt. Becoming aware of your emotions and finding healthier ways to cope is definitely the key to breaking this cycle. And now that we've covered some of the questions that you might have, I want to introduce you to a technique that I personally love, like I talked about, tapping, also known as EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Technique. And tapping is a form of acupressure that involves tapping on specific points on the body while focusing on a particular emotion or issue. So it's a simple yet powerful way to release emotional energy that's stuck in the body and to bring your nervous system back into balance. Now, this is just one of the ways, and you can do it anywhere, but also I like to of course, bring it back to the breathing. I love a good breathing, like the good belly breaths, just to reset your nervous system. So tapping can be especially helpful during perimenopause, when emotions can feel confusing and overwhelming and maybe a bit much. It's a tool you can use, like I said, anytime, anywhere, and it's incredibly effective at reducing stress, anxiety, and even some physical pain. It's a good little reset, just like I like to use with the breathing, good little resets throughout the day to help your nervous system. So let's do a quick mini tapping session together. This will be fun. If you're new to tapping, don't worry, I'll guide you through it. So first, take a moment to think about something that's been bothering you lately. It could be an emotion like stress or anxiety, or maybe a physical symptom like tension in your shoulders, a headache, whatever it is. Just bring it to mind and rate the intensity of this issue on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the most intensive. Now we're going to start tapping on what's called the karate chop point. This is the fleshly part of your hand on the side where you would do a karate chop. So while tapping on this point, repeat after me. And only do this if you're not in the car driving, but somewhere safe that you can actually take a break to do this. All right, repeat after me. And remember, we're at the karate chop point, and this is the fleshly part of your hand. So repeat after me and say this to yourself. Even though I'm feeling, and this is where you will put whatever emotion or symptom you have here. So I will, for instance, use joint pain. Even though I'm feeling joint pain, I deeply and completely accept myself. Let's say that 3 times together. Even though I'm feeling joint pain, I deeply and completely accept myself. Continue tapping. Even though I'm feeling joint pain, I deeply and completely accept myself. Last time, continue tapping. Even though I'm feeling joint pain, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, we're going to move through the other tapping points while continuing to focus on your emotion or symptom. I'm only using joint pain as an example, but you insert your own and say your own. And I'll name the points and you can tap along with me. So we're at the top of the head. This joint pain. And now we're at the eyebrow. This joint pain. And now we're at the side of the eye. This joint pain. Continue tapping each time. Under the eye. This joint pain. Under the nose. Continue tapping. This joint pain. Under your chin or the chin. This joint pain. Collarbone. This joint pain. Now under the arm. Continue tapping this joint pain. So let's go through some of the points one more time, tapping and repeating, okay? So top of the head, this, whatever your emotion is. Keep tapping your eyebrow point, this, whatever your emotion or symptom is. Side of the eye, this emotion or symptom. Under the eye, this emotion or symptom. Continue tapping. Under the nose, this emotion or symptom. Chin point, this emotion or symptom. Your collarbone point, this emotion or symptom. Under the arm, this emotion or symptom. Okay, now take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Check back in with the intensity of your emotion or symptom. How does it feel now? Has the intensity shifted? Tapping can sometimes bring immediate relief, but other times it might take a few rounds or even a few sessions to see a significant change. Continue to do this when you need it. And the important thing is that you're giving yourself permission to feel and release what's been weighing you down. So, thank you so much for joining me on this emotional exploration that we call tapping and just visiting emotions in the body. And remember, your emotions are powerful and they deserve your attention and care. So by acknowledging and working through them, you're not only supporting your emotional health, but your physical health as well. So if you found today's episode helpful, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who might benefit from it. And if you have any questions or want to learn more about tapping or emotional wellness during perimenopause, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to help. Until next time, take care of yourself and your emotions, and remember, you've got. Thank you for tuning in to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast. I hope you found today's episode insightful and empowering. Remember, taking charge of your health is a journey, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. If you enjoyed this episode or any of the other episodes, please be sure to share, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It does help me to reach more women like you who are striving for optimal health and happiness. And don't forget to follow me on social media for daily tips and inspiration. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep thriving.